Hasta la vista, señor.
Hey, Chris, you there?
Yeah.
Hey, it's taking me over to my GoPro. I had it hooked up.
All right. Let me see if I can look up walking you through it.
Let me see if I can pick the GoPro up.
It's just, you don't need to. It's just you gotta tell the platform what camera you're looking at using the little gear.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. Found it last time. Okay, I got it. I found it. Default. Okay, got it.
Yeah, there we go.
That was it. Cool. So
That's all it takes. You're just telling it what video source to use.
All right, so I am live over on. I'm going to go live on Instagram today. We've got the webcast. If you guys want to also see this, we're doing it live on Facebook and also on YouTube. So we're going to get welcome everybody into it. So I just went live a little early, bring some people in. Once we start bringing some people in, if you that are in Instagram, you're not going to do this. And so there's going to be a little dead time. So probably about 3 to 5 minutes into it, we're going to really kick this off. 3 to 5 minutes in, we're going to be talking about your most valuable assets or asset at the end, and it's something that a lot of people just don't think about. So for those that are on Instagram, stay tuned. 45 seconds. We're going to kick it off. Again, those on Instagram, you're not going to hear the backside of this with Chris and I. Just stick around for three minutes, and then we're going to kick off into what you need to be looking at asset-wise. I think it's going to be pretty exciting, and it was a topic that I actually wrote about some time ago. So it's got a lot of great notes. Find out what's been going on. So we can help you guys out. Stay tuned. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live here. Podcast. Also, and so we'll see how this goes. So, hey, welcome to the Renny Doyle podcast. And today we're live on Chris. Where are we live at? I've got Instagram here, and again, you guys aren't going to be able to see as much. If you want to go over to the YouTube channel, you can do that. But
well, we're live. We're live on various places on Facebook and various places on YouTube.
yeah, Facebook, YouTube,
PNS YouTube channel, Renny Doyle YouTube channel, and all their associated Facebook pages.
So if you want to see this from the video perspective and not just going to be on Instagram, if not, just hold on for 2 minutes. We're going to get going. So welcome, Chris. Been a busy 3 weeks. Been a busy month. February's been crazy. So we're going to go through some fun stuff, and then we'll get into some takeaways. We've got this weekend, we've got our Extreme One Day happening all over the country, and that's going to happen in Big Bear, Scottsdale, San Antonio, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, Long Branch, New Jersey, Auburn, Indiana, and of course, I already said Big Bear Lake, California, right here. So this place can be hopping on Saturday with a lot of entrepreneurs and detailers. Chris, you're going to be up here, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Unless you didn't want any help.
No, I'll take the help. March 5th, we're up at the grand opening of the PNS East Bay new store location, right attached right next door to our PNS factory. So we're really excited about that. Now this weekend, Chris, you did some detailing. So you worked on a couple of great things, a 94 SL 500. Those cars are cool. And then a Porsche Cayman. That thing had some challenges.
Yeah, the SL 500 was really loved by its owner. That guy just loved that car. It had a rough repaint, but other than that, he really loved it.
Yeah.
And but that Porsche, man, I don't think I've ever seen anybody beat up a Porsche that bad before.
Yeah, that's especially with Porsche. It's one thing if you want to do it to a Corolla or something like that, but a Porsche treated like that, it's sinful. So let's jump into this. And the reason why we're jumping is we're not going to have as much chat because we're live over on Instagram. Let's talk about our most valuable assets and how many people just absolutely, I hate to say it, they ignore it. They're so worried about working with their hands and what other people are thinking about them, and they're posting constantly onto Facebook and Instagram, all these things you should be doing, but they're missing the mark. So we're gonna talk about your most important assets and how really if you concentrated. This is a semi-new year. It's going to be a new detailing season for most of us, unless you're like seasonal Florida, Arizona. Maybe you're busier right now. But coming up, we're coming into a perfect time to make some changes. And matter of fact, it's not too late. It's a perfect timing to make those changes. So let's go back. And before we do that, your most valuable asset. There's Ali talked about something. And I don't know if you're able to get that video up.
I do have it. I can play it real quick for everybody.
Play this. It's going to take less than a minute, and then those that are Instagram, we're going to take in. I'll come back and I'm going to share a little bit about what Ali said and how I relate to it. So go ahead. Let's pull that up. We'll talk about it.
Life is not really long. Let's say the average person 30 years old. So you add up all your traveling, add up all your sleeping, add up all your school, add up all your entertainment, you've probably been half your life doing nothing. So what am I? I'm 35 years old. 30 more years, I'll be 65. We don't have no more influence. We can't do nothing much at 65. Your wife will tell you that. So what I'm saying, when you're 65, ain't too much more to do. In those 30 years, I have to sleep 9 years. I don't have 30 years of daylight. I have to travel back to America, take 6-7 miles. All my traveling, probably 4 years of traveling in the next 30 years. About 9 years of sleeping. Television, movies, entertainment, about 3 years of entertainment. Out of 30 years, I might have about 16 years to be productive. Life is not really long. Let's say the average person.
16
There
years.
we go.
So the next 30 years, I don't care if you're 20 and watching this or 60. I don't agree with Ali at 65. He says you can't do nothing. I've talked to my mentors, and they're in their prime, business-wise and entrepreneurship-wise, at age 50 and over, and really between 60 and 70, and they said it was just heaven. But let's talk about what Ali said. I really like this video, is that the next 30 years, you're going to sleep 9 years of that. If you don't have 24 hours of daylight, so even when you're not sleeping, you're probably not going to be as productive. You have travel time to your work, from work, different things you're going to do, going to doctor's appointments over these years. So you're going to take and lose 3, 4, 5 years just in travel time. There's 3 years to entertainment. You're going to lose 3 years to just goofing around, having fun, going on vacations. That's really, to me, that's a sweet spot. You can't go without that. So over the next 30 years, that leaves 16 years of productive time. Out of 30, 16 years of productive time. People don't look at it. There's a moral to the story of why I'm sharing this. Is that my point is that Ollie's onto something. And that was 40 years ago, probably 45 years ago, when Ollie said those things. He was before his time, but he was onto something. He realized something at his young age of 35 that a lot of us don't realize in a lifetime, is that it doesn't matter. You might be saying, hey, I'm in my 20s. I'm just going to go. I hear a lot of, the go-to experts and the gurus say, hey, man, make sacrifices in your 20s so that you don't have to do things later. I think that's criminal, because you don't have an expiration date on you. Nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them. Nobody ever thinks something bad's going to happen to them. Nobody thinks that something bad's going to happen to their family member, a friend, that takes and changes the course of life. We don't know where things are going to go. We just don't. And so in my 20s, I had the right idea. And I got to tell you, is that I got enough sleep. I got a ton of play. I balanced out with hard work. I worked really hard. I worked smart. I had great mentors, and I didn't do anything over exaggerated. I did everything with passion. And then all of a sudden in my 30s, I got this stupid way of thinking into me. And I think a lot of people have done this, maybe younger, maybe older, but to where I just overworked. I just started working because I had that mentality, is that I got to get it done now. I got to build it up now. And what happened, the only thing I built up was some bad habits, overworking, stress on relationships, stress on me, aged me, anti-sleep, all these different things happened. And so Ollie was onto something. Let me come back to you on this too. So if you're young, you might be saying, well, hey, I'm going to pay those prices now. If you're older, you said, man, you know what? I'm still in that cycle. Listen, what we're talking about right now, it's your decision. Is we're bringing up some topics. And so we're going to make some suggestions today. You've got to make the decisions. It's all you. It's this whole culture of blame culture, putting it off. You can't blame anybody anymore. Is you might be good. You might go to your therapist. They might blame your uncle Tim for all your problems. They might blame your dog. They might. Who cares who they blame? When it comes down to it, the only one that's at fault is you, and you need to own it. Your good decisions, your bad decisions, you need to own it. You may say that, you know what? I'm going to take and cut back on my sleep now, and then that way, I extra 3 hours less of sleep a day. Let me tell you how that's going to come out. Is that even the military now talks about the need for sleep. They go through sleep deprivation training. They do all these different things. But when it comes down to it, I read a study just a few years ago that I think it was the Army put out, is that when people are sleep deprived, and the ideal amount of sleep, now everybody's different. There's a few freaks out there, and I know there's going to be people, oh no, man, I don't require any sleep. Well, maybe you are a freak, but most people in the world, you're going to think I'm crazy, 7 to 10 hours, ideally 8. There's people out there that their bodies do require more. Some of you guys burn amazing energy. I don't sit down a lot. I hate sitting down. Matter of fact, we went through a lot of these podcasts and I was sitting down, and I finally said, man, why am I sitting down? I don't like sitting down. So I started doing standing up. Is that some of us burn off energy, even if you're chunky, you're nice. What would I call that? Full figured. Even if you're full figured, is that you still burn off energy. So Chris, are we full figured?
More than I care to admit.
So you might say, hey, it's easy. You've arrived. Renny, you've arrived. It might be easy for you to go back and tell people what to do. No, I was doing it. And I took it out of my system and process. I took it out of my life. And I went down this dirty road of doing everything I'm telling you not to do. And it was the most unproductive time of my entire life. The times when I filled my mind with good spirits, not booze, just good people around me, with good times, with working very hard, with working with my mentors, with finding, I don't know if it's called balance, whatever you want to call it, is I had fun and I had work. I had people. I had entertainment. I had laughs. It's all of it. Okay, we've heard it 100 times. Man, I get all of that out of my work. Talk to me when you're at the end of your life and tell me that. Because I can almost guarantee you at the end of your life, if you're honest with yourself, you're not going to say that. I have seen very few people that get to their end of their life and say, I wish I would have worked more. I've known a lot, and most of them have done, not most of them, all of them that overworked have told me, and I've had some great mentors that are much older than me that have passed on. And all of them, 100% said they wish they would have concentrated on the things and the true meaning of life more and work in business less. And I'm going to tell you, if you do those things, it's going to actually take and push you ahead versus pulling you back. Most of you got the wrong idea. I did for 10 years. Wrong idea. So a lot of people, they're out there and they're learning to earn, but they're not earning. And the return on investment is, you see all these people taking nonstop classes, nonstop. They're reading books. They're listening to podcasts. They're listening to this, but they're still, you look at them, they're still spinning their wheels. And you got to ask yourself, man, why aren't you winning? Why haven't you turned into a win instead of a loss? Now, I'm not saying you're losing, but at some point, is that if you're years into this thing and you're not much more ahead than you were when you started, and you've made all these investments in education, the education is there. What is missing? You got to ask yourself, what is missing that I'm not putting into it, where I'm not in the win category? Is that I'm not, buying real estate. I'm not investing. I'm not taking vacations. And a great way to do that is, if you can't stop working, if you can't pull out of your business and take mandatory breaks, I'm going to call it mandatory, well, then you know what? Something's not right. And you got to go back and look at everything you've done and everything. You've got the wrong people in your ear. You've allowed yourself in your ear. Something's not right if you're still spinning your wheels and you're not moving ahead. Now, I've watched people rapid speed, especially right now. There are some, this generation that everybody complains about. There are some modern day people in this generation, young generation of entrepreneurs, that are on fire, and they are so ahead of where our generation was when they were with it. They are so far ahead at bringing balance. They're so far ahead at investing. They're so far ahead on their return on investment on everything they do. And they're so far ahead in their thinking that they know that they've got to enjoy life make it part of the entire dance. Running a business is not just about taking and running a business. It's a dance. It's different steps, and putting those steps into rhythm and developing a music for your life that you can go out and you build more and more and more memories, more and more and more fun, more and more and more meanings, more and more and more connections with souls. Now, a lot of those connections for me has come from business. It's come from work. It's come from taking and being part of our detailing industry, of being part of the detail mafia, of being part of the IDA, of being part of Molotech, of SEMA, and going to all these things. Had I not taken and been doing what I've done, I wouldn't have met the people I do it with. And those people have become part of the fabric of my life. That's a huge part of what we do, is intertwine everything you do into it. That's an asset. That's an asset. But you also have to have an interest outside of that. You have to have hope. You got to be able to vision it. You got to be able to put it into works. You can't just sit there and do it. So return on investments. Are you winning? Are you tied? Or are you losing? And you got to be honest with yourself, because a lot of people, once you're honest with yourself, that's an asset. And it's an asset a lot of people don't look at. So go ahead.
Real fast, you were mentioning spinning your wheels. People listen to podcasts and go get some training and educated, attend classes, but aren't necessarily getting anywhere. That reminds me of our topic we once had about what was it? Education or knowledge isn't everything, right? It's you can't you have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't apply it and put it into action, it's not going to do anything for you. But the other part of that's related to what you're talking about now is that if you've got burnout on some level, you're not going to have the energy, you're not going to have the mental energy to apply those things.
Amen. I mean, so Chris goes on Instagram, Chris just says something, of utilizing what you've learned, utilizing what you've done, utilizing for the things you've paid for, both in time and money. But then also if you're staging, what I've realized, a lot of people won't admit to themselves they're in a burnout, that they're not. Chris and I have seen it. We've heard it many times. We ourselves have been there many times, and I'm going to be there again because I'm an A type, but I know when to take and let off the accelerator a little bit and bring a little joy into my life and bring things into my life that, I went right back 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes before we went in here. I love where I live. We got fresh snow last night, and the mountains behind our property were just gorgeous. I just went out and took a video of it because it's important to me. It was a little breath before I came on here just to kind of recharge myself and remind myself where I live as part of my journey, is because we made a selective decision that we wanted to take and live somewhere that we didn't want to get to retirement age and live where we wanted to live. We wanted to live where we wanted to live from day one. And I made that happen relatively young in my 20s. And I have no regrets on that. So many people really deeply process their assets and fail to invest in those assets. Let's talk about that for a second. One of the biggest waste, neglect, abuse of an asset I see is the sloppiness people have with their time. Is absolute sloppiness with their time. Is that our time is our greatest asset. And I beg you, don't be paid by the hour. Don't be paid for just exchanging your time for money. Be paid for your knowledge. Be paid for your know-how. Be paid for your personality. Be paid for your connections. A lot of people are not paid for their connections. They think the opposite. When I have a great relationship with a customer, that deserves a discount. No, that deserves trust. That deserves them respecting what you know and them honoring your abilities and who you are as a person. Don't ever discount that. That's massively, massively important, and it's sloppy to do anything but expect that. Overworking and killing yourself is not the way to go. I hate to say this, folks. It's the easy way to go. If the only way that you're going to succeed is by working 7 days a week and 52 weeks out of the year, that's not success, man. It might be success in the short term when you're getting your gig started. Is even then, I refuse to do it, man. Sunday was two things for me. It was a day of three things: a day of rest, a day of worship, and a day of fun. And I did that. In my young days, Saturday night was pretty important to me. So there's a lot of times that I got to church and I just gone to bed. Now, I've never been a drinker, really. There's a few times in my life I did. John, if you're watching, we did experience some things in our young days as roommates, but we had a lot of fun. And Sundays was out for me. It was going out into the wilderness. It was getting out and skiing. It was going to the beach. It was diving. It was skydiving. It was riding the motorcycles. It got four-wheel driving. It's going out shooting. There were so many things it was about that would take and made my life joyful. As my life changed, it was about things that my kids had going on. It was about what my wife had going on. Now that I'm older, I've got one kid at home. It's back to take and doing things that are fun, with Diane and I. And those things are very, very important. So lastly, the most valuable asset, and I want to talk to you. We're going to wrap this up. This is a pretty quick podcast, actually. Is this going to take a little time? But this is our takeaways. And I want to thank PNS, Double Black, the entire team for backing this up because they make these things possible. The entire industry does. We made so many great friends. We're at Auto Geek last week. And I'm going to say this before we go into the takeaways, is that at Auto Geek last week, Justin Labato had his first boot camp as the new director of training and education at Auto Geek, and the whole team, Megan, everybody there. It was so cool to see the passion in the industry step up. There's all these vendors. I'm not going to name them all because I'd forget one, and that'd be shameful. But a lot of name brands and people that I've been friends with for a lifetime were there, and we're helping the industry grow. And I didn't think I'd ever see that. So it was pretty cool. So lastly, the most important asset I see people wasting is you. You are a true asset. And a lot of people are going to go through. Matter of fact, I cruised through different search terms and stuff. And I was on DuckDuckGo last night. I was looking around some stuff, and I found some slammage on me, and I had to laugh when I found it. I didn't even get mad. I was reading it, and the hatred that this guy had for me is that he saw it. Maybe it comes across as ego, but I can tell you, anybody that knows me, yeah, do I have assuredness of myself? I believe myself 200%. That's been real hard for me. And there's still days I don't. I still struggle with it. But I've obviously believed in myself enough to go out and become successful in life, what I would consider successful. I'm a relatively pretty dang happy person. The only time, ironically, that I wasn't happy is when I didn't have a lot of these things in place and I was simply overworking. So what's that tell you? But let's go through the list of you and why I think people get sloppy with themselves. Because you are the brand. You can come up with fancy logos. You can come up with fancy taglines. You can have fancy websites. You can have fancy social media, fancy videos, fancy pictures. But if you're not in it and you're not the face of your brand, it's going to be limited. We're in a service contact business. We make contact with people. And the day, I've said this for 20 years, the day I switched my company over to being not a service company, but a trust company, it changed my life, and it changed the life of those that worked with us. Is that we stopped taking and providing just a service. Now, it's part of what we do, right? That's the main attraction. But we took and went and built up that where people could trust us. They could trust us in many forms and fashion. We allowed the curtain to be pulled back and of people, our personal lives. I still do that. You know, our shop is on our property. It's very important for us to take and connect with people. And so it was that way when we owned service businesses in many industries, not just in as a technician, but in many, many industries, we did that. You are the brand, you are the business. Because you might think, even though, look, we could name people like that, Chip Foose. I always use that as a fine example. I don't know what his main business is. I have no idea what is, but I know Chip Foose. I don't know what the name of his corporation is. I don't know. I don't even know everything that Chip Foose does. I just know he does a lot and he does it good. And he's got a great reputation. How cool is that? And there's a lot of individuals. Look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan hasn't played basketball in what, close to professionally 20 years. You know, I still think of him as, when I think of Michael Jordan, I think of class act, athlete, all around athlete, passionate because he got out and went and tried to play, professional baseball. He got back into basketball. And then he's done all kinds of things. To me, a person that stops when you stop at one thing, that's boring. When Michael Jordan did that, when Brett Favre came back and when he went too long in the NFL, I don't think he went too long. I think that he's following his passion. He didn't want to give up what he loves. I think a lot of people will, man, you got to know when you're done. Why? When are you done? It's real easy. I'll tell. Younger, I've never said that. A matter of fact, I never felt that. When I was, let's take the young me, 19, 20 years old, and I saw a guy my age in his 50s, and he's hard charging. Is a lot of people, I hear this today. Wow, really, man? Dude, this is a young man's game. Really? I never felt that way when I was young. I looked at that person and said, I want to be him. I want to be her. And I took and created things that they had going on in my own life. I didn't duplicate. I didn't become them. I became them within me. And I think that's really important, is because I got to tell you, is that you're going to age and your chapters are going to change. And if they don't, guess what? You're in that stall we talked about. You're like somebody that doesn't know how to use a DA polisher that's in a constant stall. Is you're just sitting there going, brrr. Is that's all you're doing? Is you want to take and be moving forward. And so don't get into that stall. You are your brand. You are your business. You are in control. Is you have 100% control. There is no blaming anybody or giving credit to anybody else except for you. Now, you're going to have mentors along the way. They help you. Always give credit to people that you've looked up to. What you don't want at the end of the game is that you got to be thankful for yourself that you've put the time and the energy and the hard work into it. So you are in control of the brand, the business, the control, and you make the decisions. You're in control of those decisions. How important it is for you to make the right decisions. Listen, you've been blessed with a business. You've been blessed with an opportunity. You've been blessed with, it might not even be financial freedom. Matter of fact, you might be struggling, but you've been blessed because most people in the world are never going to achieve already what you've achieved. Now open your eyes and go make it happen. You are responsible for all outcomes, good or bad. You're responsible. You are responsible for yourself to win and not lose. You've got to decide I'm going to win. Now, you're going to lose? Yeah, my losses have been small. I've taken it in the shorts. I've got my butt kicked, and I'll do it again because I'm a risk taker. Remember what I said, is that, these sports figures that come back into it, Michael Jordan, he wasn't done. He felt useful. He wanted to keep going. So, man, I'm good at this. I'm going to go play baseball. I'm a good athlete. Why not? You know what? Guy did pretty good. I could have gone to 2 sports and done that. He did. So you got to take and make yourself win. You are in control of your self-image. What you think of you. Who cares about what I saw that those hate posts. It was old posts too. I chuckled. I really did, because there was one individual that was really going into it, and then a couple feeding, the great white shark. Those little fish that eat the poop as the great white goes around, and they sit there and the great white lets it loose, and all those little fish eat their poop. The forums are filled with that. Don't let those guys. Those people are nothing. They're probably angry. They're probably stalled, or they're going backwards. So don't pay attention to them. Is that you've got to have the self-image to know who you are and be pleased with that. And then you are in charge of your dream. What do you want your dream to look at? I decided way back 30 years ago that I wanted to live in the mountains my entire life. And 30 years ago, I made that poll, and there's only been a 4-year period in 30 years. I did not live in the mountains, and I was miserable. I hated it. I couldn't stand it, because the 10-year-old me, from the time I was probably 6 or 7, all I wanted to do is live where I'm at, in the mountains, and I made it happen. It was part of my dream. My business was my dream. My wife was my dream. Having my family is my dream. Working with Chris, believe it or not, something as simple as a working relationship was my dream. The mafia and having the relationship was my dream. The things that weren't my dream was getting to where I was an author. I never dreamed that. Book number 2 coming soon. Not a plug or anything. I didn't dream I'd be in the Hall of Fame. I didn't dream that I would get awards. I didn't dream that I'd be a spokesperson. Why not? Because I didn't go back up on my list, as my self-image of myself wasn't there. And maybe that's what kept my ego in check. Was there times my ego's been out of check? Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure there is. I'm sure that anybody that knows me well can probably say there's times where my ego got out of check a little bit, but not a lot. And most people I know, there's a few people I'd say I've never seen their ego. I've seen them self-assured, but I've never seen their ego. I've never seen them make decisions ego-based. I've seen them make decisions on passion-based, but never ego-based. It's you who's got to build the plan. It's you that's got to take the actions on those plans. It's you that's got to realize what rewards you want from all this work. It's you that's got to lay the foundation to get to the next step and platform in life. And it's you that needs to make all this happen. You see, the thing that I see with most people is that they are really sloppy with themselves. They don't realize how important you are to yourself, to your business, to your family, to society, to us, nothing else. And a lot of people aren't taking responsibility for that. You need to be responsible for taking daily steps to make yourself smarter. And again, remember, when we went back, there's a lot of people with spinning wheels. They're constantly spinning. They're going to get all this knowledge and information and education, but you've got to take and practically put it to work. I take notes on everything I do, every lecture. When we're down with the whole group of primarily new people at AutoGeek this week. Some seasoned people, some really, really talented detailers. But I took about a half page of notes of things they said. These are young people. These were new people. These were older people getting into detailing. These were young people into it as enthusiasts, older people into it as enthusiasts. But yet I was taking notes on what they said. I try to learn something from everybody I come in contact with. That's your responsibility. Is that you are in charge of the daily huge leaps in reaching your next stages in life. Only you. But let me tell you, the danger point is that I've skipped a few steps here and there because I had the right mentors and the right people around me, and they pushed me ahead and pulled me ahead with them. But the times that I got in big trouble was that when I on my own tried to take and leapfrog many steps, and I usually got kicked back way further than when I was at that point. Usually in my younger days. It hasn't happened as I seasoned because I learned my lesson. And what I did is I learned to listen to my mentors. I learned to be connected with my mentors and take their knowledge. And the reason why that I'm wrinkled up and I'm scarred up and I've had the issues I've had is it's been learning. is that, you know, I try to take the young lion or lioness that are coming up within entrepreneurship. I don't want them to get scarred up. I don't want to have them get bloody. They're going to have to, but we don't want to take we don't want ugliness within their life. We want to try to keep them as clean and as uninjured as possible. And so it's up to you to apply pressure valves in your life. What's a pressure valve in life? A pressure valve is bringing enjoyment, things away from work. Believe it or not, some of the times that I get the most creative, some of the best ideas, the most profitable ideas I've had was when I was doing things I love to do outside of work. Skiing, love skiing, hiking, mountaineering, diving. Diving brings great peace. Out wheeling, you know, shooting. Shooting is one of those things in high-speed skiing is that I really can't have anything else on my mind. You know, is right then and there, I better just be thinking about what I'm doing as I'm going 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. Or as I'm shooting, I'm trying to hit the target. I got to concentrate on that. It's those times, and I think it's that release that helped me the most. And a lot of people think that's bullshit. It's not. It's not. So you are responsible to make all this to work and to bring it into a system and process that makes sense to you. Because without this, it's going to stun you. Your growth's going to be stunned, your success is going to be stunned, and your happiness could be stunned. Simple as that. Now, that was a lot of information, and we try to keep this kind of in a realistic time frame. Is that, hey, make sure to go over to detailingsuccess.com, sign up for a newsletter. If you want to find when we're going to have these events online, if you want to see what we're up to, where we're going next around the country. Matter of fact, we might have some international travel this year. Go sign up. That's a great place to do. Chris does a great job on our newsletter. Also, follow us on social media. So you can go over to Detailing Success on all the social media platforms. Renny Doyle is my personal over on Instagram and on Facebook. And then email us. We'd love to hear comments of what you think. And I don't care if you think I'm full of it and you want to share that with me, or if I said something that rubbed you. We don't get many of those, but what we do get a lot of is people just, you know, taking and connecting. And we love to hear those. We love to hear your story on stuff. Also, if you got a topic, Chris and I would love to take and hear the topic. If you want to email me directly, it's Renny, RENNY, at detailingsuccess.com. Chris is Chris at detailingsuccess.com. So anything to add or close with, Chris?
Not much. You know, just little reminders for anybody that's interested in training with us. We're currently booking our training classes into the summer, June, July, August. You know, there's a little bit of wait to come out to see us, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, so you know we're booked up on our 5-day advanced training, so you got to think ahead. I think we've got 1 or 2 spots left in June, and then we're going into the rest of the summer. So it's a good time to think of that way. So, hey, Chris, we'll talk to you soon. Hey, everybody, have a powerful day. I hope this helps you out, and go make the most of you. You're a big investment. Don't waste your time doing things. Make it happen the right way for the right reasons. And we'll talk to you next week. I think we've got another interesting topic that we're going to put on. I'll try to go live if the feedback's good on social media. We'll try to go live over on Instagram on my personal account. But until then, Chris, we'll talk to you soon. Everybody, have a good one. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care. We'll see ya.
See you guys.